This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This weekend, we saw 8 Week 5 underdogs winning their respective games outright. No, not just covering the spread, straight up wins. Plus, we had the biggest upset of the year in college football as well. So remember, if you had a bad betting weekend, at least you weren't the Arizona Cardinals or James Franklin. So you have that going for you. We are loaded on this Monday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, as always, Circa Resort and Casino. How we doing? How we feeling today?
Well, the theme of the show, not planned, but it will be. We are dressed in black because, of course, our Circa Survivor entry, all done after Thursday. We haven't been together since. We were together yesterday, but it didn't really count. You were taking some shots at me throughout the day. But also, wearing all black for the fact that over 6,000 entries now laid to waste after a chaotic week of Circa Survivor in the National Football League. We wanted slaughter. We got it. We were part of it. But when we're now just in mourning, which is why we're themed out today.
And that's a great transition as we kind of set the table for what we do have on deck coming up, because there is a lot to get to over the course of the next 2 hours. Obviously, that carnage will be among them. But let's fire up the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
So top items we've got on deck. Yes, obviously lots of football to discuss, but it's also October, JVT, which means we have postseason baseball on our screens as well. I cannot wait for Game 3 of Tigers-Mariners, by the way, how that series is shaken out. But 2 games in the NLDS coming up today as well.
You cannot stress how big that win was. Speaking of mourning, apologies to Derek Stevens, who made the trip out there to go watch the Tarek Skubal and have him give up 2 solo shots to Jorge Polanco, of all players. But, I mean, as somebody who's got this Mariners ticket, the fact that they pulled that off yesterday against Skubal, absolutely brilliant. You want to avoid a Game 5 against him back in Seattle, but either way, a massive win for Seattle in that series. And like you said, 2 games today that I'm very excited to watch to see what's going to go down.
Long day for Derek. He started the day in studio with us on VSiN's Countdown to Kickoff, and then obviously makes the trip out there. I'm sorry, Derek, you didn't get the W, but I know for you and your futures tickets, you're a little bit pleased with the result as well. We do have Monday Night Football on deck as we roll along here with the rundown. Put a bow on Week 5 of the NFL with Chiefs and Jags. Kansas City opened a 2.5-point favorite. That did not last long, JVT. We've been sitting 3.5 all week. Seems like the public and sharps kind of align on that. Looking at the bet splits on VSiN.com, both DraftKings and Circa heavy on KC for percentages of bets and handle.
Yeah, I like KC tonight. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I think it's a big test for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Offense has been pretty middling throughout the season that we've seen to this point. Trevor Lawrence has not looked particularly great. That's been a decent trend going back into last year, his passing yards prop, and the fact that has not really surpassed its number almost every single time out. So can they string their offense together? And all of a sudden, I mean, you're a traveler, so maybe you get bloated sometimes. But the news that Xavier Worthy's ankle swelled up because they went flying to Jacksonville. I didn't know that could happen to your body in any way, shape, or form. So now we got a big thing to watch as well.
I haven't flown with an injury, so no swollen ankles for me, but worth noting. Hopeful to play, I guess, is the latest report I've seen. So if anything new comes out while we were on the air,
I didn't know that could happen.
We'll certainly get that out there. Well, I mean, I know this is a weird thing. I know pregnant women wear like compression socks and stuff on the plane because they can get swollen.
Oh, okay.
So there's something to it. But let's start where we did kick off the show with the Survivor carnage that we saw. We knew it was going to be coming at some point. It finally did. I mentioned the 8 outright dogs winning straight up, including 3 underdogs of 7 or more points, tied for the most upsets in a single week the last 3 years. Also, road teams going 10-3 outright in ATS. So throw some of your Survivor rules out of the window when it comes to some of that stuff. The Rams and Cardinals losses alone wiped out more than 50% of the pool. The Titans were 30-1 or higher some places in game to come back and win that game. They do. Then you add in Buffalo on Sunday night. In total, of the more than 18,000 entries in the summer, we are down to 4,669.
Yeah. And it's why, too, you see a couple of those. I see people still question, by the way, 5-0 pick still insane. You still see people going.
At least it's less than the 24 a week ago. My goodness.
Wild. Well, why are people taking Titans and Raiders? Well, what you're doing is if you have multiple entries, if those teams pull the upset, then not only does your own entry, because I'm assuming you have multiples, increase in value, but then you get one up there with that one. So that's the reason why you do it if you have another one to burn. And sure enough, the one on the Titans is feeling pretty good after they pulled that off yesterday. But I don't think it's not the manner. It's not the fact that these two teams, especially at the top, knocked out over 50%, as you mentioned. It's the way that it happened. The fact that we can sit there and watch on Thursday and ask genuinely, is this going to be one of the worst Survivor beats we've seen? And at that point, we had not known how popular the Rams pick was.
I didn't think they were going to be the first, the top, most selected team.
I think most of us thought, all right, they probably rise because of the injury report, maybe like third on the board. Not many people want to mess with Thursday for whatever reason. And then you find out that it's the most selected team. But then a day later, after we find that out, and it hurts even more, then you watch the Cardinals go down the way they do. And that is the one where that is the worst way you could possibly lose a Survivor entry. The fact that it happened in a week is just, it's almost like the pressure was building because everybody kept asking, when's it going to happen? All these favorites coming in, what's going to happen? And the balloon just burst to such a way that it was unbelievable.
What is the most unbearable if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan? Is it the dropped touchdown from Mercado?
Mercado, yeah.
Or is it the should have been interception that then becomes a Tennessee Titans touchdown?
No, it's definitely the fumble. I mean, because if you score there, what is it? What's the score if he scores there? They're up 28. Is it
26, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that. Whatever it is, like
something along those lines.
Yeah, you're talking about going into that moment in that fumble.
Oh yeah, you're right. Would be
28-6. So it would have been 28-6, assuming you make the extra point. With what are we talking about here? Let me double check. With about 12 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. That's not insurmountable, but that's a nail in the coffin, if you will, in that game. And instead, 28-6 turns into 21-12 going back the other way on the next possession because you give up a touchdown. Like, that's, to me, the backbreaker. You're done. We're good. You're moving on. You're going to win that game. Maybe it gets a little bit sweaty. But the fact that happens, and I get everything that has to happen after that. You mentioned the touchdown, the fumble return, however you want to slug it, but that to me is absolutely insane. It reminds me, and what's insane about it, Stormy, is it just happened last week with A.D. Mitchell, as we all saw. If you remember, and it's like this mental thing where I think it just lets the air out of the balloon for some of these teams. Last year, in a very big spot, the Colts are one game under 500 with a playoff spot on the line, and they go to Denver to take on the Broncos. They're up in that game. Jonathan Taylor's about to not put a knockout blow to the Broncos, but he's going to score a touchdown that's going to put him up and put him in control of the game. And he fumbles it there, and they lose that game too. It's amazing that this continues to happen.
Trust me, I'm going to get on a little soapbox about that a little bit later on and call me crazy because it is unfathomable to me. The preseason markets, by the way, for last undefeated team and last winless teams, both cash as well yesterday. The Jets were 12-1 to finish as the last winless team after the Titans and Saints both won. And then the Bills and Eagles will split a dead heat payout for the last undefeated after both lost on Sunday as well. How about the Eagles falling apart late as well in that spot against Broncos?
You called it. You've been talking about this, the fact that this team was just every single metric had pointed to the fact that they were just kind of skating on the edge. It was a little thin ice for them, and they weren't going to be able to keep this up, and it finally let go here in the loss to Denver. The offense just looked listless once more outside of the big explosive that you got from Saquon Barkley. Was it a 68-ish yard touchdown, whatever we saw when we were on the air and through the air, and that was it. That's all you had for the most part. So you give a team like Denver all the opportunity in the world, and they're eventually going to get it done. I still haven't looked this up. I got to find out what the math is on Sean Payton going for two in that moment, especially when he kicked the extra point in the prior touchdown. But regardless, this is, I think, something that you had your fingerprints all over. You had talked about this. You had brought up those metrics, and we've fathomed, like, all right, are they just going to keep this up all year long like the Chiefs did, or were they going to fall flat on their face at some point, and happened yesterday?
Yeah, they were outgained now for a fifth straight game, despite the 4-0 start, now 4-1. The only other time, by the way, that a defending Super Bowl champion has been outgained in their first 5 games of the season, 1987 Giants, who finished that season 6-9. We talk about things catching up to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts thought similarly. Here is him on the podium postgame.
Don't get you until they get you. And we're obviously in pursuit of our best self and pursuit of growth. So give a lot of credit to that team. They played an outstanding game, take ownership for the things that we can control. Look into our process and our system and see what needs to be reset and what doesn't need to be reset, and continue to press forward.
Now, I know the Giants let the game slip away yesterday themselves.
Literally.
Literally. And I still have the vision, by the way, of Cam Scadaboo going, get me new gloves, but with he and Jackson Dart.
Oh, is that what he was saying?
Yes. He and Jackson Dart both having just rough fumbles. But they now host the Philadelphia Eagles this coming Thursday night. Does any part of you, though, want to lay 7 with Philly, knowing what we know about them?
I mean, I looked at it.
I can't see. I can't get there.
I mean, I can't.
We'll see how I feel by Thursday, but
I'm also. I was very kind of hesitant. I thought. So going back to what we talked about yesterday, I'm glad I didn't act on it. I just figured from a number standpoint that maybe that number was a little too much for the Saints, but they ultimately get it done. But I still am. I'm cautious in the belief potentially of one Jackson Dart. You go back to the first game, like he did fine. He wasn't really asked to do that much, but if you actually look underneath the numbers, didn't perform particularly well against the Chargers. And then you get this spot here where, again, he's in the midst of how many of the turnovers that they had yesterday against the Saints? As a rookie quarterback, the lost fumble, the interceptions. So I think it was 3 total that he was charged with in that game in terms of turnovers, 2 interceptions and a lost fumble. I don't know, man. I think that there's going to be a situation where you're looking at New York coughing up the ball again, turning it over as a young quarterback does, and you're not in position to cover this number.
Yeah. 5 total turnovers for the game.
Yeah.
So, yeesh. Also, my other Survivor entry had it on the Seattle Seahawks.
Dude.
That's a tough L as well.
I will say, I'm sorry, but lost in all of the chaos for the Titans-Arizona Cardinals game was one of the best football games of the year. That was great.
Yeah.
They were swapping buckets like they were playing basketball on grass. That was the best game we've seen so far this year. Sorry, didn't go your way,
No.
but that was freaking awesome.
Seattle, they've got the 7-point lead late, and for a defense that I actually liked, for them to just not be able to stop Baker Mayfield at all. This guy is so good. And then Sam Darnold, as they're trying to get in field goal position, takes such a bad break with the ball bouncing off the helmet. It's picked. Then that ultimately sets up the Bucs to walk it off. So a tough one. Hope you add the over 38-35 in that one. We've got to step aside. So much more NFL to get into as we go here. And of course, as we mentioned, October baseball. We'll give you some of our thoughts in the NLDS coming up later on tonight.
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're rolling along here. Money Moves live in downtown Las Vegas at the world's largest sports book, Circa Resort and Casino. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. And we are in the thick of it with October baseball as the division series roll on tonight. 2 game twos in the NLDS coming up this evening. Obviously, lots of fun action in the AL to this point. The Blue Jays took a 2-game series lead over the Yankees yesterday after scoring 13 more runs on Sunday. They've combined for 23 runs the first 2 games. That series, all Toronto so far. Now they're minus 550 favorites in the set. And then your Mariners, who you obviously have a futures ticket on, you're riding out. They even the series with Detroit, compliments of a game-winning RBI double from Julio Rodriguez in the 8th yesterday, and that was a riveting final frame or 2 yesterday.
Yeah, the fact that they can pull the win off, the fact that it looked like they're going to blow it when I think it was Naylor who couldn't field the grounder at first, and all of a sudden you're looking around, you're like, oh man, holy crap, like they're going to screw this. This is over. But they get it done. Very exciting, and such a big win because it's not just a win in the series. The fact that you lose game 1 and you're staring a start for Tarek Skubal in the face. We talked about this. Is why I bet the Tigers to win the series against the Guardians. That is such a massive mountain for a team to have to overcome because he is so good. And he was very good. 2 mistakes. It was just both solo shots to Polanco that ultimately made a little bit of a difference. So very big win for Seattle. And now the series sets up relatively nicely for them. We'll see. You get Flaherty coming up next, so you see if we can get to him and then move on from there. But big dub for the Seattle Mariners after blowing it in game 1. Just don't get to a game 5 because the oddity, if you will, is that the Mariners are 3-0 now against Skubal in this season. He's got an ERA over 4 against them. But if I were to tell you, would you really feel confident in the Mariners in a game 5 at home against Skubal? It's still not the best situation, so hopefully they can get this thing done.
Seattle is now, by the way, minus 130 favorite in the set. They're minus 132 to beat Jack Flaherty coming up. Logan Gilbert going to be on the hill for that one. The total 7.5. These first 2 games, though, really low scoring. Even the pre-flop total yesterday was 5.5. Stayed under.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
is that a theme we expect to continue to see?
I think it could. I mean, the Mariners lineup, I think, is better. I don't think it's incredible. I think we kind of know this at this point for them when you look at what their weakness could be. And we know what the Tigers' weakness is. I mean, their lineup has been abysmal. We've talked about this with Adam Burke and others. So I don't think it would be surprising if we got a bunch of these lower scoring games throughout the series.
Meanwhile, do we think that the offensive success for Toronto changes with the series shifting now to New York coming up this week? Carlos Rodon on the hill for that pivotal Game 3 at home, taking on Shane Bieber. Run total there 7.5, and the Yankees are a minus 150-ish home favorite in that spot.
Yeah, Rodon's been very good. I think we talked about this in his start in the prior series and what he has looked like and how he's pitched, especially at home. The guy is playing very well, pitching very well when you're looking at his numbers in New York. For overall, when you look at his starts, when he's starting at home for him, it's through 2.98 ERA, 90 2/3 inning, and a fielding independent floating around 421. There's some noise in there that would tell you maybe he's due for some regression. I think the problem that is facing New York ultimately, and it pitched well yesterday, but in general, you've got to win out now because you're down 2-0. With your bullpen, do you trust that over the course of these 3 games, you're going to be able to overcome what likely will be a poor bullpen performance at some point because you have the worst pen among the playoff teams? That's their problem. So maybe back at home, the old basketball series analogy, you win the first team that's down 2-0 going back home. Generally a good play in the first quarter, first half, right? Sure. So maybe there's something to that, especially with a guy like Rodon who's pitched as well as he has at home on the mound. But generally, I think that you might be cooked here if you're the New York Yankees.
Jeez, stinks. I mean, just considering how hot they started the season and so many things that were going well for them.
You won't cry. You won't catch me crying for New York.
That's fair. I mean, we thought for a second that both they and the Mets might miss out on the postseason, so they did make it. They got to this point, but Toronto is looking like they're on a bit of a heater here. We'll see how that plays out. Talking October baseball with the MLB postseason in action here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Let's get to tonight, the first of the 2 NLDS matchups coming up in Philadelphia. Dodgers having Blake Snell on the hill to get things started. They're a minus 120 favorite. Jesus Luzardo on the other side for the Phillies. Run total here sitting 7.5. Dodgers with that 1-0 series lead. They took Game 1 on Saturday 5-3.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of got priced out. I wanted to go with the first 5 under. We're sitting at like 3.5, though. It's a really low total for this first 5 frames. I think that's probably where you should put it. Shame on the Phillies. We had talked about this. I was on with our buddy Tom Byrne on Sirius XM on Friday night, and we talked about some of these Game 1s, and I liked Philly in that spot. Thought Christopher was going to be able to get it done, and ultimately the bullpen blows it, and they can't get it done for the entirety of the contest. Luzardo is somebody that you and I have, I think, sparred over quite a while, every once in a while throughout the regular season. He's obviously had his blow-ups on the surface, 3.92 ERA, looks very, very mundane, but underlying metrics, as we always talk about, 290 fielding independent. Strikeout numbers are there for him as well. He's had a couple of these issues, 2 of the last 3 starts, one of them on the road against the Dodgers. He gave up 4 earned runs over the course of 7, so a pretty average performance. But he can generate swings and misses and strike out guys at a really high rate. If you get the upside of what he is in terms of the strikeouts and command for the walk, get a little bit luckier in terms of balls in play, I think he's going to put the Phillies in position to win this. The question is just which of these ugly bullpens rears their heads and blows it for the other, if the 2 guys come out and perform like we expect them to.
Well, I think the market agrees with you on the surface here because the Dodgers were around minus 135 favorites earlier this morning when we were putting this together. Now, as I mentioned, around minus 120. So some folks buying in on the Phillies and Luzardo here.
Circa was down as low. It was at 126. Now it's minus 115. So there's a little bit of move at a sharp book that we currently reside in.
All right, we'll see if they can even the set there at home. And then Chicago, Milwaukee. Milwaukee leading this series 1-0 themselves and favored again at home in this spot. Meanwhile, as we talk about how the favorite was getting faded in that early game, the favorite is getting pushed even harder here in Milwaukee, out from around minus 126 to minus 137 right now.
Mm-hmm. I think that's Where am I? You said that with an inflection like a question. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to. My screen was giving me the wheel of death. So yes. I'm like, I think this is what I saw.
So Imanaga gets the start. I am very obviously this is a playoff game, so you're going to be curious regardless here. The last time we saw him, 5 2/3, 8 earned runs in that start against against the New York Mets at the end of the regular season. Okay. So that is something where you look at Imanaga and okay, what are we going to get from him here? Metrics would tell you that maybe he is one of the more vulnerable spots of this rotation for Chicago too. Ashby on the other side has been really solid. However, we know that he hasn't started many of these games, so what this is going to look like for the Brewers too. I am in this camp of I think the Brewers are being a little underrated by the betting market. I think that they deserve more in terms of a power rating. I think this has been a very balanced team. I talked about this with Mike Palm on Friday when you weren't here. Just the underrated nature of from position to position, Stormy. There's not like a real solid weak link. It might be kind of average at most, like in a couple of spots, but there's no real giant blemish that you're pointing to, like some of the bullpens with some of these teams. And maybe the non-sexy aspect of this team is what ultimately gets it. But I agree with the market. Like I thought like $1.25 was a little short for Milwaukee, upwards of $1.35 in some spots. A couple of places far away are at $1.40. I think that we're getting to the point where this is priced accurately given what we're going to see from this team overall.
They're out to minus 260 now for the series as a whole. Yeah. Cubs available plus 215. Did any of these series prices catch your eye? Like, do you think any of these dogs could potentially come back? If you think the Phillies win today and even that set at home, they're plus 260 in the set against the Dodgers. And prior to LA getting out of the wild card, the Phillies were the favorites to win the World Series. That's LA now, but how do you see it?
I mean, to me, if there was going to be something where if you weren't really like in either way on a series, like what would you pick? To me, it would be Philadelphia. Because again, like we know how good their frontline pitching is. I'm somebody that believes in Luzardo and think that he can pitch well against the Dodgers. And so if you can just get your bullpen to give you some life here and not blow these games, then I think you're going to be in a position to win this series against LA, who has their own issues on the back end too. And like, look, the Dodgers too. And I think this Dave Roberts deserves some credit. You know, they've been, for lack of a better term, have been avoiding their bullpen for the most part, getting guys like Glass now out of there and whatnot. So I think that over the course of this series, if you can get a good start here from the Phillies, that would be of the series prices that we have, the one that I would be interested in.
They are also, by the way, in the latest World Series odds, now a 9-1 shot. So obviously, yes, no. If they do, ultimately, that's going to get chopped down significantly with the Dodgers as your current favorite right now. We'll throw those odds up on the board because it is interesting. I'll kind of lay it out for our radio audience. The Dodgers, your plus 210 favorite, followed by the Toronto Blue Jays. Talk about all the offense they've had so far to this point, plus 425. Milwaukee, plus 550. Your Seattle Mariners, 6-1. Tigers, 8-1. Phillies, there, 9-1. And then the Cubs and Yankees, both the double digits.
Yeah. And that's the two. We always talk about, hey, futures and what do you do? Before the postseason starts, it's never really, I think, a way to attack it because I think everything's really baked in. But if we're talking about this from the perspective, like you mentioned, if you really do like Philly, then why don't you look at Philly in a World Series if you think they're going to win this series and then move on, depending on how you feel about the other side of the bracket. But that's going to be something that's always something worth looking at when teams are behind in series.
No doubt about it. And also, good reminder, coming up at the top of the next hour, we're going to have Bob Nightingale, USA Today, MLB columnist. He's going to join us. We'll get some of his thoughts on these series, maybe some early names he might think for consideration for World Series MVP,
what about
all
Ken
that
Rosenthal?
Conversation.
You guys can talk about how you treat your crew.
I don't know. I still, that response.
You had a Ken Rosenthal moment over the weekend. You were telling me how you were yelling at your cameraman.
I was not yelling. Oh, my gosh. I was not yelling. We did have a little miscommunication
Brock
that
Osweiler
led to a little frustration. That is not true at all. We're going to get to some NFL next, talk Monday Night Football with the Chiefs and Jags. And good reminder, our football season special is still ongoing right now. You can save 40% off on an annual subscription when you use our promo code MONEY. That's everything we do, not only with football, but across every sport. If you want all of these MLB plays daily, unlimited access to the articles at vsin.com, the bet splits, the plays, vsin.com/subscribe, promo code MONEY. We will be right back talking the standalone Monday Night Football action in Jacksonville next.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel.
Okay. So this question is for you and for our audience. At me, JVT, at Storm Buonantony. Storm, not Stormy, at Storm.
Get it right.
Also not as much as I believe she does a brilliant job, especially on the weekends. Not Grace Remington. So get that right, too.
Rumor has it. We had a little confusion, but we got there.
My man found out. So a question for all of our audience and a question for you. Now, so we are essentially 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? How many games are we?
We're finishing week 5 tonight.
Thank you. So we're going to be done with week 5 by tonight. Through 5 weeks, which team in the AFC?
Oh, no. Don't you do this to me.
Can you unequivocally say the Indianapolis Colts cannot beat?
You can't. That's such a good question because
unbeatable. That you would say no shot.
I would say the Colts could beat anybody.
Yeah.
I think that is a fair statement.
I think that's the answer. And I don't think it's so much about the Colts. I think it's more of a referendum on what the AFC looks like right now. And look, the Colts are a very good offensive team. Again, it feels still ticking time bomb-esque when it comes to Daniel Jones, but still, he's done a great job, so looks like that might maintain itself. But I just bring this up because the AFC as a whole, especially after what transpired last night on Sunday Night Football, nobody looks untouchable in this conference. And I think that that's an argument to be made where whether it's futures from a just purely win the AFC standpoint, most wins in the NFL, obviously things like that, this adjusted win total potentially for Indy as this schedule looks for them moving forward. But just the AFC as a whole, I think that the lesson would be here as we look at their schedule, which I think is littered with opportunities as we move forward. I think really the lesson is just, man, this thing's open. Yeah. If you find a team in the AFC that you believe by your measure is somewhat adequate, I mean, you could make a case for any of these teams to beat anybody. There is no Titan amongst them. You know, there's literally a Titan.
There is a Titan, but
you know what I'm saying? There's not some unbeatable giant, some behemoth that you would say, oh, this is unequivocally the best team in the AFC.
No, and it's a great point because even coming into this weekend, when we were talking about the Buffalo Bills, a lot of people, I think rightfully so, and proved to be rightfully so, thought that the New England Patriots could give them a game. And they did. They end up winning that game, and the Buffalo Bills clearly have some weaknesses on defense that they need to figure out. And they're still your plus 230 favorite in the AFC. The Chiefs are the second shot plus 370, but they're your Colts at 8-1. Mm-hmm. The Chargers have shown flaws. The Broncos, do we believe in them offensively? I don't think so. The Baltimore Ravens, like a cookie and milk, they are crumbling. And then you've got the Jags, Texans, and Steelers. Steelers in particular, I know you think are fugazi at their record at this point.
I don't think I know.
And then
it will be proven.
That shifts us to tonight, I think, pretty well with the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of being in that mix. They're a 3-1 team right now, playing well, very easily could be 4-0. Somehow dropped the ball against Cincinnati in week 2, a game they should have had in hand, but couldn't close out. They're taking on Kansas City today, who, for them, after the 0-2 start, win back-to-back games. They had their most dominant performance of the season last week against the Ravens, but I don't know how much we can really take from that offensive performance. I know that
after we watch what Houston did.
That's what I was going to say. After we just watched what was statistically the worst offense or one of the worst offenses in the NFL, go put a 40 spot up on the Baltimore Ravens. How much can we really take from Kansas City in that spot? I think it's a question well taken.
I like Kansas City here against Jacksonville. I apologize. I think I should probably add it to our doc. So, Justin, if you want to adjust that.
Okay.
But I like Kansas City here. So, I think there's a couple of things. First off, it's more about what Jacksonville maybe isn't. This offense doesn't look particularly daunting so far. Trevor Lawrence has been very mundane with his passing attack. If you look at it from an expected points added standpoint, this team, in terms of their passing attack, floating around 18th in the National Football League, depending on how where you're looking at your EPA metrics. So, I think that this is a team that Liam Cohen has done a pretty solid job with. And defensively, they've really turned things around. This is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. When I say one of the worst, across the board, whatever metric you use, it was like 31 or 32 for Jacksonville. This is a team that has creeped back toward average in a really big way. But the fact that, and it seems like Worthy's going to play, you get a little bit more of this athletic presence in your offense if you're Kansas City. Some of that short passing game to supplement the running game that doesn't really exist for you too much is now going to be activated. There's so many different little things that Kansas City can now do, and I just don't really buy what we have seen from this offense so far. I think Liam Cohen's done a good job of putting it together with a little smoke and mirrors, but I don't think it's particularly great. I think there's a reason why, like you said. I mean, this moved to 3.5, and we've been here like the whole time.
Yeah, we mentioned this off the top of the show. So the early line on this game was Kansas City minus 2.5, but it very quickly was bet up to 3.5, and it has stuck there for the most part. The turnovers are an interesting thing. Like when you see that Kansas City only has 1 this season, tied for the fewest in the NFL, and Jacksonville with 13 forced is... it's one of those fun, like, immovable objects, moving force type of a thing. Which one is ultimately going to come out?
Unstoppable force versus an immovable object?
Yes, exactly. I, didn't verbalize it great, but...
Yeah, I mean, you nailed the cookie crumbling in milk, though.
I mix metaphors a lot. Yeah. but I think that'll be kind of a fun head-to-head to see tonight. I wonder how much of what we've seen, though, from the Jags defense is for real, because they do seem to have a little bit of a different, more aggressive mentality this year.
They do, but... I think this is the argument that you make. Tell me what these teams have in common. Carolina, Cincinnati, Houston, and San Francisco.
All right.
It's not a litany. That's not a list of, like, look at these great offenses that they've faced up to this point. So that's probably one of the things that you argue against, which is, yes, they've creeped back toward average. Yes, they look way better, more adequate, if you will. But at the same time, they have not really faced anybody worth their salt when you're talking about what they've done on offense.
Okay. Any
except for the Panthers.
Thoughts on the total in this game? 45.5.
Nothing strong. I mean, I would lean a little toward the under, but nothing like I would jump out to go and get. Especially because looking at, again, this offense, I don't think it's particularly daunting. So I think that this is going to be a pretty watered-down offensive effort from Jacksonville, unless, of course, Liam Cohen really is stealing signs, and then all bets are off, like Robert Saleh accused him of.
We never really got into this conversation last week.
Robert Saleh would beat him up.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that the question you were going to ask?
Well, I think if it would be fun to have like a bracket of NFL coaches and like who would beat who, but
like
unfortunately,
head-to-head fights, yeah.
Saleh isn't a head coach anymore. He's a coordinator, so it'd be harder to put that bracket together. But from the head coach bracket perspective, I think that could be a fun exercise.
Of course. I mean, one night, many moons ago, I may or may not, with another employee of the Vegas Stats and Information Network, put together a graph or a us versus like host on host action, like who would win in those fights. And then when we included our crew behind the scenes has a lot of good scrappers. Like I think we got a couple folks with like MMA backgrounds.
I was gonna say we have a lot of like UFC people.
Yeah, the producers and whatnot would totally win the fight if there was a civil war between us and the people behind the glass. Remember that, folks. You have the power. Don't let hosts push you around. But then outside of that, the VSiN hosts a bunch of unathletic people that would probably be a lot of bad fights.
For the NFL coaches, like the 1 versus 16, is that Dan Campbell and Mike McDaniel?
Or Andy Reid.
Ooh, but see, Andy Reid, does he have the strength behind it?
Stop. He can't move. Come on now. Got to get off this.
You have Andy Reid as a 16?
Yes, I have Andy Reid as a 16.
Oh, wow. See, no, I think he could overpower somebody weight-wise.
No, he's a 16.
It's like sumo style. Okay, from a prop betting perspective, anything like game script, narrative-wise that stood out to you? Oh, by the way, David Montgomery passing touchdown yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
After what we were talking about with some of his stuff, he had his moment. Wasn't the way I
was going to say, but it wasn't the rushing touchdown.
Wasn't the way I expected it to go.
Still would have lost it.
Still a cool moment.
So I'm not denying that. Okay, anyway, you have something over me that you could probably get me in trouble with, but I'm not going to do that.
Won't do it. I'm a professional.
With this, I am curious. I talked about this with our friend Kendall Valenzuela. I was on with her on Sirius XM Fantasy today. The really low passing number for Trevor Lawrence, inherently I am a buy low type of person. The total's 215.5. He's gone under that mark in 2 of the 4 games he's played, and I think he's gone under his passing total in 3 of the 4 games that he's played, yardage-wise. It's a stretch that goes back to last year with some of his starts, just some pretty like lackluster passing performances from a yard standpoint. So is there going to be a moment where we can maybe buy a little low on Trevor Lawrence from a passing yard standpoint? I know the Opt AI, look at the difference here, right? The projection versus what the market is at is a pretty interesting discrepancy.
Yeah,
for both guys, by the way.
Around 31, 32 yardage difference in that margin compared to the market and the Opta AI projection. Another thing I was looking at, and I saw a couple people I respect in the space who took Lawrence's longest reception specifically under, just based on some of his air yard numbers. He has just 2 attempts that have 30-plus air yards on the season, only 8 going over 20. 33rd in the league in average air yards per attempt. Kansas City also doesn't give up a lot of those bombs, so if he does get the yardage, I don't think a lot of it will be kind of those streaky downfield passes, so maybe that's a perspective that you take a look at. If you do want some information on these Opta AI projections, or if you're looking to bet some props tonight for Monday Night Football or beyond, vsin.com/props is where you can get all of that information. And it's, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. You can do all of the major prop categories. You can type in a player that you're curious about or a stat, all of that. Again, vsin.com/props is how you can have access to the Opta AI projections. Anything else? Yeah, the passing number, I think that's an interesting one. I was trying to look at some of the rushing numbers, but the only thing that I was really contemplating was Patrick Mahomes over rush yards. But the Opta AI projection does not like that one as much, so that kind of lent me to look in another direction a little bit. But I was just looking.
Travis Hunter, first touchdown scorer? I have nothing to back it up.
It just feels good.
Yeah, 17-1.
I'm not
3-1 for
I'm not putting any money on anything Travis Hunter.
His dynamic as a receiver too is very interesting when you look at that, like how they're using him and what's happening with him.
Maybe should have put something like that in Call Me Crazy, but which we do have coming up next. Some more reaction coming from what was a wild NFL and college football weekend. And I know we already referenced the dropped football at the goal line, but I've got a lot to say about it. We'll be right back.
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Put on your tinfoil hats.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The whole world gone crazy.
For Call Me Crazy, but
Days that we do this segment, we should have some tinfoil hats. That's my new recommendation.
I mean, if we're going to do that, we have to be a little bit more out on, like, an island.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, if you're going to wear a tinfoil hat, it's got to be a crazy conspiracy.
Okay.
Like water making the frogs gay, all those sort of
When we have a really out-of-the-box one, I'm going to bring some Reynolds Wrap situation. Right. We're going to get it going. Call me crazy, but on this Overreaction Monday, call me crazy, but JVT, this can't continue for the 49ers, right? Like, I have no idea what to do with this team. They are 4-1 despite a completely depleted roster. I feel like they shocked even themselves that they could field 11 guys on offense the other day. But at the same time, they're 4-1 despite a depleted roster. And they're going to get more healthy. Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are going to return. Even if Brock Purdy's injuries remain and linger, Mac Jones has proven to be a very reliable backup. The defense is capable, and they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL on paper. So I don't know what to do with this team.
Wait, I'm confused. Are you saying they can or they can't?
I don't know.
You're making a very strong case for them to keep this going.
Here is where the question lies, is what do we do with this team? Because if we believe they can continue to win at this rate, then we should all be betting Kyle Shanahan to be coach of the year and some things like that. And if not, who's the bet in the NFC West? Do we want to go to the Los Angeles Rams? Do we want to go to the Seattle Seahawks? What's the best way to approach this? Are you a believer or you're a denier in the 49ers?
I mean, I don't think I'm anything. I think I'm just sitting here and just much like Pontius Pilate washing my hands of this, and let's see what happens. Because I think you should be in a position already where we're at. I mean, we're in very good spots. I think you did bet them the number one seed in the NFC,
yes.
Right? So if you have something like that, something pro 49ers from before the season starts, you just sit back and just wait to see what's going to happen. If they're going to get healthy, they have one of the easier schedules. As you have mentioned, you're kind of lucky that you got to these first five with just one loss. Yeah. You're in a pretty good spot. I don't think there's really anything that you have to act on here. And we see it all the time in the NFL. Teams that generally, from a record standpoint, don't have the backing, so they're just not as good as their record is, that might be the 49ers this year. There's so many injuries, and by the time we get to, they have a late bye, all the way to week 14, but by the time we get to that bye, that middle column of this schedule and what they have coming up, that's something that you can navigate through. I don't think you're doing anything. I think you're hopefully already invested, and let's see if they can maximize what they've got.
This team drives me nuts.
Why? They're 4-1.
Also, the one time I'm rooting against you, San Francisco, the one freaking time I don't want you to win a football game, you ruined my Circa Survivor life. Neither here nor there. Go on. What's next for you?
Yep, and it was the Seahawks who ruined it too. So NFC West. I mean,
dude!
All the rivalries.
Kill me.
That seems a little aggressive. All right.
Sorry, I'm an emotional being today.
Call me crazy, but Panthers are back, baby. They're so back.
Sharky the claws.
That's right. We're back in on this thing. Big win for the Carolina Panthers yesterday against the Miami Dolphins. And when I say that they're back, I think we're back on the train of potentially backing them to keep it going on a week-to-week basis until we get a solid adjustment. Dave Canales deserves a ton of credit for that game yesterday in the way that they schemed up that rushing attack without Hubbard on the field. Rico Dowdle was brilliant, rushing for over 200 yards. Listen to these numbers, 418 total yards, 6.4 yards per play. They ended up scoring 27 in a win over the Miami Dolphins, who are listless, lifeless, and everything's going wrong for them. Sad Mike McDaniel walking away from the field the other day. I think this team they have proven, at least through the first 5 games, that they are the somewhat plucky group that we expected them. They do have some ugly losses in there, but Stormy, at the end of the day, we're looking at this team that is 3-2 against the spread if you bet on them every single week, and some opportunities here, including one at home against the Cowboys squad that has a pretty bad defense.
Don't turn over the football.
Yeah.
Like that is what so much of this comes down to for Carolina. Don't turn over the football. You have the pieces in place to be competitive in games if you just hang on to the football. And I want to give you a lot of credit. You did a great job when we were on Live Bet Sunday yesterday, looking at some of the underlying numbers and metrics and talking about this Carolina Panthers team being capable of coming back in the game. While we didn't fire on the 9-1 live when they were down 17-0 to get back in it, we did have some advantageous live bets placed on Carolina throughout the course of the game that came home. And I am with you there. Sharp teeth and claws, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go Panthers.
And I'll just reiterate really quickly. If you look at their blowout loss to the Patriots, similar to what the New Orleans Saints did with Seattle, a lot of special teams issues in there. Return punt for a touchdown, another one that returned to the end zone, a blocked field goal as well, or missed one. Like, those are things that if you correct those, it doesn't get as out of hand as quickly against New England.
Okay, call me crazy, but how are we still dropping the freaking football at the goal line? We talked about this earlier, but this Arizona thing is stuck in my mind. You are up 21-6. Amari DeMarcado has a breakaway touchdown opportunity. Let's go with the ball as he's about to cross the goal line. Would-be touchdown goes to touchback. And that play sparks the whole Titans comeback. They lose 22-21. It's a maddening thing because it happens every single year. In particular, as you referenced earlier, we just saw this a week ago with A.D. Mitchell. And then if you are Jonathan Gannon or you are any head coach in the National Football League this week, how coming into the week was this not the number one clip that you are showing all of your skill position players? This cannot happen. This cost people games, and it did it again this weekend. I don't get it. I don't understand the casual nonchalantness with which players go into the end zone. And I'm all for a touchdown celebration. Don't get me wrong, but you have to score the freaking touchdown to celebrate it.
Shouldn't we, at some point, because I've heard this too, and I think I said it earlier today when I was doing local radio, which was, how do the coaches, like you said, not like reiterate this? But at some point, don't we treat them like adults? At some point, don't you think that they should know as professional football players, maybe don't drop the football?
If everyone at home knows it, how do you not know it?
In the end zone, right?
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
My mind is in a bottle.
Yeah. Bottle?
It's from a movie.
Oh, okay. I thought you this whole time you thought there was mind-boggling.
I said mind-boggling, and then I said, look it up.
All right, call me crazy. This isn't it. There's no debate about this anymore. Baker Mayfield should be the favorite to win MVP. Get out of here with all of this. Anybody else, I don't want to hear it. There's nothing. Through the first 5 weeks of the season, there is not a single player on a field in the NFL that has done more for his team with so much attrition than with Baker Mayfield. I will reiterate yesterday, and Sam Darnold deserves some credit because they were very good. That was a fantastic football game. But Baker Mayfield, with this Bucs team, let's just look at yesterday, which, by the way, they're 4-1. They've already played 3 games on the road. You play against the Eagles. You lose players. You have all these injuries that you go on the road trip all the way out to Seattle. You, again, are dealing with these injuries. You're taking on a team that had extra time to rest and get ready for you. And you go out there, and you are just swapping touchdowns the entire time. The whole way. 426 total yards, 7.3 yards per attempt. Or excuse me, per play. Baker Mayfield himself, 379 through the air, 11.5, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. If you're talking about just pure value for a team that is going through what they're gone through, and they have the wins to back it up, they're 4-1 right now. This team, dude, he continues to deliver. He's still 12-1 to win MVP.
I'm so jealous that you put this in here because I had this written down as a Why Not Wednesday for later on in the week. I am 100% with you. Right now on the season, he is 4th in the NFL in pass yards, 10 touchdowns to 1 interception. He has 4 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime this season. He is putting the team on his back. And
you got to say dough.
Dough.
Got to put the team on his back, dough.
Put his team on his back, dough. I'll work on it. I need to sound like more...
Do you understand the reference?
No.
Greg Jennings with the team on his back?
Oh,
come on.
No, I didn't. Sorry, that didn't click for me. But I am 100% with you on this one. And once again, the NFC South is the Bucs to lose.
I don't want to belabor the point. How is Patrick Mahomes more valuable at this point than what Baker Mayfield's done? Justin Herbert.
Nope.
Even Josh Allen.
Nope.
Give it to me. 12.
Call me crazy, but Florida's going to do this again with Billy Napier, huh? So Florida fans and people that talk about this program often crack me up. I'm listening to the radio on Sunday as I'm driving into the studio at Circa, and I hear all these rave reviews following their win over Texas. This is why we were all so high on Florida. How about the offensive line imposing their will? This is the DJ Lagway that we talked about being one of the best teams in college, quarterbacks in college football. Are we falling for this again? They still have 3 losses in 5 weeks, including one to an in-state group of 5 team in USF. I'm not going to deny that this is a good win for the program, but how good do we think Texas is in reality as well? If I am a Florida fan or someone that has Florida futures, season win total over to make the playoff, whatever it is, that result actually pisses me off. Like, shouldn't you be livid that that's not the version of Florida that you've seen throughout? And then you look at the gauntlet of a schedule that they have upcoming. How many of those games in reality are they going to win? But if they win a couple of them and they have a marquee moment, is that going to save Billy Napier again? And we're just going to go on the freaking mouse wheel again?
I don't know. I think I'm kind of in here. I think you're a little crazy.
Okay. Well, this will be another one that we can look back on later.
Because, South Florida might be the best group of whatever team. Right? LSU's pretty good. Miami might be the best team in the country. I don't think there's any shame in losing those 3 games.
Okay.
You know what there is shame in, though?
What?
Missing out on the NBA guide, which comes out next week.
Hit it. Tell us why.
The NBA guide comes out on Tuesday, folks. Check it out. Key insights, betting trends. We have all sorts of stuff in there for the first 30 days. If you go to vsin.com and sign up for $9.99, you get everything we do. As I always like to say, it includes every single sport. So the association guide, which comes out this week. And how about the college basketball betting guide? Just got our assignments handed down. They got them out west. Check it all out up at vsin.com/subscribe.
You know what, JVT, you do always say that. Whenever I think about you, you're always talking about how you can get access to every sport. Look at you go. We got to step aside when we come back. Talking a little MLB postseason with Bob Nightingale.
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.